What's good? This is Trey. Welcome to this presentation. The topic for today is I'm done with trying to be cool. All right. This is one of the notes I wrote down in my phone one day when I was going out and I was trying to get good at night game. All right. Night game is basically when you go out at night and you go out with the intention of meeting women. Right. So you're playing the game of meeting women, of picking up women, but you're doing it at night. Okay, and I would go to the clubs. And one of the things I would do is I would try to emulate, I would try to look at, the people that look cool in the club. And I would try to do that because, when I just started doing night game, I was new to it, right? I didn't know what is how do you need to be, or what is the type of, or how do you need to carry yourself to actually be successful, like, to actually attract women. So I'd look at the cool guys and basically they'd be standing around, right? They'd be holding their drinks, standing around, trying to look cool. Maybe some of them would have their arms folded, right? Some of them would be all against the wall or whatever. So I was like, okay, well, that's what the cool guys are doing. Let me do it too, right? So I started doing that. And what I noticed is I wasn't getting any girls. Okay, I was standing around trying to be cool, trying to be tough, trying to be whatever, but I wasn't getting any girls. And I watched those guys and I noticed they weren't really getting any girls either. Some of them were, and I think it's because, I didn't have the full understanding, but maybe they could be, known, right? They're already known. Maybe they're popping on Instagram, or, right? They already had some status going into the club, right? So they could stand against the wall or whatever. But most guys, I would pay attention, it wouldn't work, right? Even the guys who would be fresh, looking fresh to death and all that shit, I would see them leave the club with no girls. And I was like, yo, maybe I'm looking at the wrong people. Let me pay attention. Let me look better. Like, who's actually getting the girls, right? And I noticed it wasn't the guys who were trying to be cool. It was the guys who didn't give a fuck about being cool. It was the guys who were socially free. It was the guys who were expressing themselves authentically, just having a good time, good vibes, right? Carefree, right? No worries, not trying to look cool, not trying to look tough, not trying to do anything except have a great time. And I realized that is what it's about, right? If you want to be successful with anything, it's about expressing yourself freely and bringing value to the environment, bringing value to what you do, right? So these guys who were carefree and they're having a good time and stuff, that's valuable. It's valuable when somebody comes into an environment and is having a good time and is spreading that type of energy. It's valuable. Those are the type of people we find ourselves, gravitating towards. And I noticed that and I said, you know what? Maybe that's what I need to do. Instead of going to the club and trying to act cool and just stand up against the wall with my drink, how about I just focus on having a good time? How about I go on the dance floor and dance? How about I go up to these women and say, what's up? How about I, go up to some guys and say, hey, what's up, man? Fist pound, high five. I started doing that and I started to, notice a shift, right? I started to have a good time. I started to meet some girls, get some dances with some girls. I started to make some friends in the club. I started to actually have a good experience. And I realized this whole idea of being cool is either you're cool or you're not. You don't try to be cool. Like that was the mistake, right? Trying to be cool. That's what the cool guys are doing. Let me try to be that. No. Let me come out here and give value. Let me come out here and express myself. Let me come out here and have a good time. Right? Even let me see if I could detach myself from the outcome of getting women. Like, of course I want to get some women, of course. But let me see if I can just forget about that and just spread good vibes, have a good time. And interesting enough, that's when I started to get results. That's when I started to have these great dances with women. Like, I'd go to women and they'd be into it and I'd spin them around and we dance and we, we have a great time. Sometimes I'd end up getting a phone number. I'd get get their Snapchat or their Instagram, right? Sometimes, it would just be good vibes. Maybe it won't go anything further than just a good conversation, right? But then after a while, I started to come up with my own style, my own way of being, right? I started to calibrate my communication. Like, I learned that I actually had a beingness that can work in night game, you know? Because I'm tall, I have a masculine presence, right? I actually have some rhythm, I can dance. So I started to just look at my strengths, and I was like, yo, let me just leverage my strengths and just put them out there, you know? Let me just have a great time, right? And let me just own who I am. And that's what I started doing, man. And that led to me, I started to get like makeouts. Like, girls would make out with me in the club, right? Like, they would initiate it. I wasn't even the one to initiate. I would just show the good vibes, have a good time, express myself. And they would just, obviously they're drinking alcohol, stuff like that. So they're turned on, they're having a good time. And then I show up and I'm bringing more good vibes, and right? And then from there, I started to get more, numbers more consistently. Like, get girls would give me their contact details. And then from there, I got my first pull, right? I started pulling girls, meaning like getting a girl so interested in the experience that I gave her and the interaction that I had, that she was like, hey, let's go back home together, right? And I noticed it wasn't me trying to be cool or me trying to be anything. It was me coming out and having a good time. Me coming out and expressing myself. Me coming out and being uniquely who I am. And so this is what is necessary to be successful in any lane. I'm using the example of me going out and doing night game, but this applies to day game. This applies to business. This applies to life. This applies to anything, right? If you go into something and you're trying to look cool, you're trying to be something, it's like, no, that doesn't work. You got to come into it and just express yourself. You got to be willing to, another part of it, right, is when I started expressing myself, guess what? I would have to face rejection. Not everybody's going to want to be a part of your vibes. Not everybody's going to want to hear what you have to say. Not everybody's going to be on the same frequency as you, and you got to be okay with that. That's why I said it's like you're focusing on having a good time, right? So if somebody doesn't want to have a good time, then you just move on to the next person, right? But if you're so attached to the outcome, like you're trying to make people like you, you're trying to look cool, stuff like that, now if somebody invalidates you, if somebody rejects you, somebody's not interested, then you're like, oh shit, I'm not cool anymore. Now you feel like shit. Because it's the wrong mindset. You shouldn't be worrying about being cool. You should just be having a great time. Focus on expressing yourself. You're not trying to impress anybody, not trying to make anybody like you. You're just trying to have a good time and spread that energy. Because everyone who goes out at night to the club, they're going out to have a good time, right? That's the whole point. They dress up, they drink alcohol, they do these things because they want to have a great time. So if you show up with that type of energy, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be, into it. And of course, there's going to be some people that's not going to be into it, and that's fine, especially in the beginning, because it's going to be a little uncalibrated, right? But as you get more mature, more understanding, more socially intelligent, you'll start to notice it's like a higher percentage of people that's going to, be into, your communication and your expression, right? Because now you become more valuable. You become more, you understand details a little bit more. You understand the nuances a little bit more. You pick up on body language a little bit more. You understand eye contact and tonality. Like, you start picking up on the subtleties. And now you become a beast. Now you become a master. Now you become more, consistent in your results, right? And it's because of understanding, okay, let me start off by just not giving a fuck, just expressing myself freely, and let this turn into something, right? You start becoming seasoned. First, you start off, you're raw, you're fresh, you don't know what the fuck you're doing, but then over time, you start to develop your own style, your own way of being, and you start to create your own form of mastery within the environment. And so, but it started with me realizing forget about trying to be cool, trying to be perfect, trying not to make any mistakes, nah, man, you got to get in there and play the game. You got to play to win, not trying to avoid losing. It's a play to win, right? Take the jump shots. You're not going to make every jump shot. Swing the bat. You're not going to hit it every time. But if you swing at it and you go for it, you're going to hit some of them, right? And the more you do it, the better you get, right? And then over time, you become cool because you start developing attractive traits. You start developing a character that is valuable to the environment. Now you're cool. Instead of trying to be the guy standing up, trying to be cool, which most of the time those guys are not cool. They're afraid to express themselves. They're afraid to put themselves out there. That's why they stand up on the wall, right? If you go and tell those guys, hey man, hey, what you think about that girl? They'll say, oh yeah, she cute. So go talk to her then. What's up? Nah, man, I ain't gonna do it right now. I'll do it later. So they'll make excuses. I used to test them. Right? I used to be like, yo, what you think about that? And they would never do shit. So I realized it's like the guys who you think are cool, they're not really cool, man. They're just putting on up a front. And I realized that. So that was something I wrote in my notes. I'm done with being cool because I saw that ain't it. Trying to be cool, trying to be perfect. Like even in business, like you can't be too much of a perfectionist and shit like that. You gotta be the type that can just take some action and put shit out and get feedback. Right? And if the feedback is bad, then you take the product back and you make it better and then you put it out again. Or you take the service, you put it out. If they don't like it, you improve it, but you can't just be perfectionist years and years before you put out your product, years and years before you put out your service. Nah, man, you gotta put it out. And there's gonna be some people that's gonna appreciate it. And those are your people. And then you just keep improving. And I see this is the same in many areas of life. It's like you gotta go in there and you gotta go for it, man. You gotta go for it. Forget about being perfect. Forget about, getting everything right at first. Go in there and just enjoy the process. Have a good time, right? But know what your goal is. Have an intention. Know what your goal is, but let go. Let go of the outcome, this attachment to the outcome. You get too serious and too, you know what I mean? Oh, if it doesn't go my way, then I have no self-worth. I have no self-esteem. I'm nothing, nobody. It's not true. It's not true. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody gets rejected. Everybody, looks stupid sometimes. But it's the people who can go through that and keep going. Those are the ones who end up getting results. Those are the ones who end up growing, evolving, and creating a new future. All right? So that's the advice for today. If you're a man watching this and you want to develop unbreakable self-confidence with women, you want to overcome the fear of approaching women, you want to become the most attractive version of yourself, join the Unbreakable Beast Tribe. I'll drop a link to the group in the comment section, and I'll see you inside. Peace.